All right, so the Takom 1/16 Panzerbefelswagen I is finally complete with the Christmas holidays and a snowstorm. It took about 6 weeks for this to get completed, so not terribly bad. There were a few minor issues with this build, and I think I'm just going to start off here with a kind of a quick uh, once over of the kit. Uh, Overall, I'm glad it's done. It wasn't extremely difficult. I mean, the running gear went together well. No issues there. I talked about the track issues, putting that together. Uh, what little PE there is, I did have some issues with that I'll go over. But the guard here over the muffler, no problem. Pioneer tools, no issue with that. Uh, went together well. So there it is. A couple of cons with this is the welds, especially on this superstructure. They're pretty thin. I think they're probably a little too thin. This side here is pretty decent down low here, but up the sides, and when it came to attaching the roof, any kind of molded on detail really didn't mesh up well at all, and it needed to be redone to make it even look presentable. These sides are just extended pieces off the regular superstructure, so, and getting them lined up is a bit tedious, but the weld seams, I really dislike that part of the for this part of the kit. I think they could have maybe did it a little bit better. The second thing that was a major problem for me with this kit is this brass PE here, right? The instructions do not say how to fold those brass pieces, those brass PE pieces, and there isn't any kind of clear instruction on that, because when you look at it on the instructions right here, it just, they show them bent, but does this edge go underneath this? Don't know. And what kind of an angle does this need to be bent at? Even when you lay it up against there and you start dry fitting it, you think you're close, but you're not. So one corner, it has battle damage because it came out the worst of the four corners. But I can live with it. I'm going to live with it. So there's that. The antenna, kind of pretty much just like the regular Panzer I. But with the antenna, right? Just like on the regular Panzer I, you have the antenna mount here, right? And this isn't on the Befelswagen, right? So when I was assembling this, right? Because this is off the Panzer I kit I have. I was thinking, there's probably a piece that will go over that and it'll be blocked off. Well, there isn't one. And I had already had it built. I had it mounted onto the hull. I had the rear deck on. I was well into it. I was putting on the, the antenna holder here. I was putting on all the Pioneer tools. The little air hose right here. And I was like, well, where's this part at? Well, it's not there. There is no blocking plate for this. And I was pretty deep into it. So I was like, well, what do I do? It's already together. And by the time you start, putting in a piece, sanding or puttying it in, you're going to mess up this area with the weld seam here, and the weld seam there. So I just went ahead and these parts are in the kit, right? So I guess in a sense it's a fix. But even in the instructions, right? There it is. There is that hole. Nothing there. See, and there you are. You're mounting your antenna trough, and your little air brake line hose there, cooling hose, whatever that is, and you're mounting the rear deck. Nothing there. So you can't have that, right? Because look at this. You see through it. So that was a problem. And even like when here it is, step 28, you still see it in the drawing right there. So kind of an oversight right there. And another oversight, right, is this hole here. I didn't even realize it, because I thought this hole was going to be for the antenna trough. No, this here, this, and then these two slots back here are for the regular antenna trough, right? So there's no instructions that say to fill this hole right here. Nothing whatsoever says that. And the same with this little mounting piece right here. This is all part of that antenna trough. These three things. So if you're going by the instructions, it doesn't tell you anything about these three holes to whatever to do with them. And it doesn't tell you anything about this antenna. So what do? Right? Well, I guess you make do. So that was a biggie, right? The decals, right? I think this is the wrong color yellow, right? And as you can see, even in the picture, when you get up close, you can see the outline of the decal. Doesn't matter how much I used Tamiya Mark Fit Strong with it to get them to settle. They did okay. Well, that's not as loud and as pronounced here on the 11th Panzer Division symbol as it is on the Balkan Cross. The circle's pretty decent. Don't see much there. And the little emblem there, which I think is the wrong yellow. And we'll talk. I gotta show you the decals here too, because this was probably like the worst decals that I've had. It's still right there on that. Still see it. So. Yeah, but the circle ones seem pretty decent. They seem okay. Now for the decals, I'm just going to leave them in their little container, little plastic protector. They seem to have went out of register, or the printer was running out of ink or something, because these two here are pretty decent, and then these two here just fade away. Same with the 4. This part of the 4 is okay, but then everything else goes real light. And same with these markings up here. But everything else was pretty good. Can't complain too much, I guess, with the decals. But at least the ones that were good are those are bad. But I didn't end up using them anyway, so I guess it didn't matter. So if you get this kit, maybe take a close look at those decals and see how yours look. So, but it is done. The frame antenna, if you look at it, right, this bar, nice and straight. This one was warped. So kinda, I guess, goes with my damaged little rain guard there. But yeah, that was throwing me for a loop. You can kind of see it right there a little bit better. But everything else, I mean, it's a standard Panzer I, lower hull, rear deck, front superstructure, no problems. Actually, the track, I think it called for 97, and when I finally got to mounting them and gluing the either wheel in place, I had to take off two on one side and one on the other, which is weird because I kind of glued them in the same position, but it's how it worked out. So I think this side here I had to take two off, and then on the other side over here I ended up taking one off. So yeah, the track came out pretty decent, even though I had to drill out flash holes and use a metal track pin off the Panzer II Lux kit to kind of like bore the holes out and get the pins to fit. But I think the frame antenna really sets it off. I mean, I think it really looks good. I mean, before I glued the frame antenna on, I thought, oh man, this thing's looking kind of ugly. But I think the frame antenna really makes it pop. And to kind of give you a size comparison, here I have my Panzer I right here, and they're actually pretty close in length, surprisingly. I mean, it's a little bit longer, you know, not by much though, not by much, considering that it has an extra road wheel that this, you know, the Panzer I doesn't have. But yeah, you get all the turret parts in this kit, so you could like maybe like take this turret and make it a you know, like an Atlantic wall diorama kind of a deal, because I think they use Panzer I turrets on the Atlantic wall. So you do have all the parts for that. But yeah, it's a pretty decent little kit. I mean, both of them are, you know, I think the Panzer I-A and the Panzer I-B will be better than the Befelswagen because this kit's got some issues with it, you know, that are not covered in the instructions, and they'll come back and bite you. One thing I did do is right underneath this grate, I did paint a piece of plastic card and glue that in so you don't see all the way down in there. So that is kind of blocked off underneath there. The gluing the frame antenna on was not difficult, you know, a little tedious. You do have to drill the holes you know, right here and here for that, and back here. You do have to also drill a hole here and right here for the trough antenna, for the antenna trough. And everything else went well. You know, the suspension, no problems. The rear engine deck, the front here, just the top, when you're gluing it onto these sides, it needs, you're going to have to redo the welds along there. And I wish I could have redone the welds along the sides, but I kind of wanted to get this done and, you know, move on to another project. But I think it looks pretty good. It's definitely, I think I consider it a 3-foot model. I mean, it looks good from about 3 feet away. You know, when you get up and start looking closely at it, there's some errors that, you know, are noticeable. But other than what I pointed out already, it's not a bad kit. Just be sure when you go to do this, these little rain guards around this little turret hatch thing, you take your time with that and get those bent where you think they need to go, and then mount them on there. And when it comes to the 1B's antenna trough, that you could probably leave that there, but maybe try and fill that hole. But everything else went fine, no issues. Bending the PE for the muffler, not a problem. And you got some little PE latches, little bitty things that go over the engine hatch latches. Can't think of what they're called, but you know what I mean. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. I'm glad it's done. This is my first gray Panzer scheme that I've done, and I think it came out all right. You know, just used Tamiya German gray, and used all Tamiya paints on this one. Nothing spectacular, nothing crazy, and it came out pretty decent. You know, a couple pin washes here and there, a little bit of dry brushing, some post shading, and I think it came out all right. So let me know what you think in the comments, and hopefully you'll give this a like and a subscribe. Thanks.